Hey guys, it's Tony with Backwoods Biker Magazine and Wood Tramp Outdoors. I want to talk to you about one of the most neglected parts of a knife. Hang tight. All right guys, welcome back. Well, anyone that touches a knife, you begin to learn about that knife and what it does for you. And of course, everyone knows that the edge of the knife is the most critical, right? Because we have to use the edge of the knife to process just about everything. Where you're cutting cordage, if you are skinning game, processing game, if you're creating a fire lay or a shelter, your edge of your knife is critical for that. The tip of your knife should be stout enough to be able to drill if necessary. This happens to be the LT Wright Genesis Scandi that I got out with me today. But the spine of the knife should be 90 degrees so you can strike a ferro rod with it, because everybody these days understands the benefits of carrying a ferrocerium rod with you. And all my sheaths have a ferrocerium rod with a shock cord that holds it in place. This happens to have a deer antler stud on the top, to keep it in place, be able to hold it a little bit better because it's a smaller ferro rod. So you want to be able to have a 90-degree spine. You can also use these to lift pots out. If you have a notch here like this has a very small notch, but I have grabbed pots out of the fire with this here. We know how critical scales are. I'm not going to speak to you a lot about that. Lanyard holes, you've heard me talk about that. And you can see this does have an orange lanyard on it. If I drop this on the ground, I'll find this knife. But the area I want to talk to you about today is this right here. It's the pommel that is on the bottom of the knife, okay? I will never carry a knife that does not have a full tang and the pommel can be seen. It's not covered up by the scales. Because if you try to use that to crush whatever, more than likely you're going to mushroom that scale. This knife is full tang. The steel goes all the way through and you can see it. It's exposed. Now if it happens to be extended, it's all the better. But if it's exposed is important to me. Now when I ask people, what do you use your pommel for? 9 out of 10 times people say, oh, to crush nuts and to crush berries. And those are the main things that I hear, which is a good skill to know. It's not rocket science, but when I'm in a survival type of situation where I need to get a fire going, the pommel is the most important feature on my blade, but it is very critical for processing my bird's nest and my tinder. And the reason is it helps to create displacement in your fire triangle. You got your fuel, you got your ignition source, and you have oxygen. And when you're talking about being able to build a bird's nest, especially, it's a wet environment out here today. And when I was walking to this location, I started grabbing things that I could use to create some very good tinder. And what I came across was some prairie grass tops, some reeds, and I even grabbed some dried buds off of a lazy-eyed Susan to help me to be able to do this. Because what happens, and I'm going to show this to you, and I'll talk to you when I do that. So why don't I just do that right now, get a up-close shot of this so I can show you what I'm talking about. All right, guys, I've got this stuff set out on a big piece of stone right here, big piece of sandstone by the creek bed. And this is the material. Now, everyone knows the importance of taking this material and pulling it apart, roughing it up, right? Like this right here. you know. But as you can see, I'm going to give you a close-up shot of this as well here. Even when you process this like so, there are still very tight pieces of this material that in a wet condition will not take a spark at all. Okay, so what I do with this is lay this out. I'm going to take out the things that I know are not going to work. Here's another one here that I wanted to show you. Is these reeds? See these reeds right here? Everybody sees these out by the creeks, you know. And even though that it snaps like it does, what are you going to do with it? This is a perfect thing to show you here. All right, so I will take the pommel of my knife right here, and I will begin to process this down. And then I can open this up, exposing the dry material on the inside, right? You see how I create those fibery hairs? Those fibery hairs are what is going to be beneficial to you building a fire in a survival situation. See those? It's a process, but as I was taught a long time ago, time is of the element, and your element is time. Although you got to do it fast, you got to be able to do it precise. Take your time to be able to do what's critical, because this is the critical part of getting your fire going. That's smashing that all over. Okay. So I'm going to do the rest of this and I'll get back. Okay, so we have pretty much got that down to where I wanted it at. Now this is some of the bigger stuff that I am leaving it a little bit larger because it is going to form the outer heart of a bird's nest. See this here? I'm just crumbling it up a little bit. But I will show you exactly what I've done. I'm just going to stick this like this. Now of course you've got to have the rest of your fire lay ready for what you're getting ready to do. Okay, now this is what I've processed here. You can see this little hairy stuff here. That is what's going to be your friend in this situation. You can see how it all, wait a minute, come on, get in the camera, bud. How it fluffs up like it did. Now this was only about 4 or 5 of those stalks and some of this prairie grass. There's a long piece there I don't want in there. I can keep that in, but you can see how the air, the oxygen is going to move through this. Come on. This is why you want to have a camera person with there. Okay. Sunday, nobody wants to work. Okay, I'm going to get rid of that one. Okay, I'm going to lay this right on the top of this. All right. Back out just a little bit here so you can really see this. Okay. I'm going to anchor this with my right hand and I'm going to pull with my left hand. Almost. There you go. And this was wet when I started. Now this is something, of course, would be on the inside of your bird's nest. I'm going to pick that dude up, lightly blow up into it. Didn't get it fast enough, so we'll do it again. There it is. And the more of that you have beaten down and smashed it, you see the flame there, the more successful you are with your fire. So, appreciate the question. Takes practice, takes time. but in a survival situation, you'll appreciate this. So until next time, you guys ride free, you live free, and as always, you be safe out there.